tell me if this sounds familiar. You're talking to women, you're trying to date, you think you're doing everything right. You're even flirting, you're even maybe saying the exact things you've seen me say in videos, but somehow it just doesn't seem to work quite as well for you as it seems to work for me. Why is this? Well, I get this a lot with guys that I coach. In fact, I had a guy this weekend who had this exact problem. He had studied my material a lot, he had gone out a lot, he knew how to flirt, he was saying a lot of the right things, and was even getting some pretty okay results, but in the end, it just wasn't quite popping the way it was supposed to. He was doing the right things, but subtly under all of it, there was a message of, he's low value that was coming through to girls. That's the bad news. The good news is we're able to fix it for him, and we'll be able to fix it for you because it's due to a few very specific things you're doing that are actually not that hard to solve. One of the biggest things most guys do that make them appear low value isn't their words, but it's the way they're saying their words. It's their tonality. Basically what I want to say here is there's 3 types of tonality you can have. There's 3 ways you can say the same line. And you can think of these as similar to like the punctuation marks. You have a period, a question mark, and an exclamation mark. And each of the 3 are pronounced differently when you read it. Similarly, when you speak, you can speak in a way that sounds like a question, a way that sounds like a statement, or a way that sounds like an exclamation or a command. And these are interpreted very, very differently. Now, most men, when they're around a woman who they're attracted to, or when they're around someone who they see as higher value than them, they automatically slip into using that question mark tonality too much. We call that trying for rapport tonality. And so they will say a declarative statement, but they'll say it like it's a question, almost as though they're asking, is it okay if I say that? So they'll say to a girl, I think you're cute. But they don't say, I think you're cute. They say, I think you're cute, right? It goes up like a question. Or even maybe they're introducing themselves to the girl, and instead of saying, my name is Todd, they go, my name is Todd? As though they're almost unsure of their name, or it's a question whether it's okay if is it okay that my name's Todd, right? That conveys low value. It conveys to the girl that you are not comfortable in that situation, you're not used to talking to people of her caliber, you're unsure of yourself, all of which is low value. And this is an instinctive behavior. When you're feeling a certain way, it comes out naturally. However, it also is a behavior you can manage. You can get used to, when you go up and opening the girl, saying it in a certain tonality. You can practice in a microphone, you can practice in the mirror, you can practice on your opens, and then you will say it in that tonality because of muscle memory. And you can practice adopting a mentality of, I'm sure of myself, I'm not asking questions, I am decisive, and the more you adopt that mentality, this will happen as well. So you can correct this both with your mentality and also with directly working on your tonality. The ideal tonality for a lot of things in game is somewhere between a period and an exclamation mark. It's slightly downward. It's not like highly antagonistic. It's not like a police officer yelling at you, but it is commanding. So like, excuse me, I wanted to come say hi, right? Something like that is good tonality, as opposed to, excuse me, I wanted to come say hi. That would be the bad tonality. The next incredibly common low value male behavior is asking for permission too much. There are certain times when you should ask for permission, it's polite, but most of the time, high value people just are granted the things they want to the extent that through their life they've learned to just expect them. And there's a sort of philosophy that does work in a lot of game and a lot of areas of life, which is it's better to beg forgiveness than to ask permission, right? Just assume that the answer is going to be yes, and you can always apologize if it's not. And that works in a lot of contexts in game. For example, a lot of guys at the very start of the interaction with a girl will ask permission, is it okay if I talk with you? At that moment, the girl doesn't know you yet. She doesn't know you have value. To her, you're just a stranger. And so even if she would be very open to talking to you under normal circumstances, you're giving her a choice of, would you like to do something that's potentially a little awkward, or would you like to do something that's completely safe and predictable? And a lot of times they'll just choose safe and predictable, even if that's not in their heart of hearts what their soul would most desire if they thought about it. So when you say those kind of things, you're giving someone an easy way out. Another major way that guys ask for permission when they shouldn't is they will actually give the girl an excuse not to talk to them right when starting the conversation. They'll say, hey, excuse me, are you in a hurry? And oftentimes the girl will say, yes, I'm in a hurry, even if she barely is, or even if she really isn't, because again, it's just less awkward and she doesn't know you yet. Whereas if you had said, hey, excuse me, can I ask you something? The girl would say, yeah, sure. You talk to her for a few minutes, she realizes she likes you, and then she's happy with the conversation. But you didn't make her make that initial decision right away, do I want to have something potentially awkward or not? Another situation where guys ask for permission way too much is when actually asking for plans. So a very easy way to, for example, ask for a phone number that I learned early on in my game career was, hey, it was nice talking to you, what's your number? That's a pretty standard, easy way to ask for a number. And if you want to make that even better, you can actually say, it was nice talking to you, pause. Oftentimes, like probably 60, 70% at least, the girl will say, you as well. And they say, yeah, I agree. So what's your number, right? And she just agreed it was nice talking to you. It's very smooth to transition to a number there. What a lot of guys do though instead is they say, would it be possible to maybe get your number? Which sounds really nervous, really hesitant. It sounds like you don't believe the number is going to happen. And it doesn't sound like the entitled way a high value person would ask that question. Imagine if you were a celebrity and you had a fan come up to you and maybe you had some common interest or some common thing. You're like, hey, yeah, give me your number, we'll catch up. This celebrity would be like, would it be possible to maybe get your number? No, he would just assume that they're gonna give the number because that's the nature of the interaction. That's the vibe of everything that has transpired from start to finish. So it doesn't make sense to ask permission there, yet a lot of guys do. If you've had a great interaction with a girl and it makes sense to follow up, it makes sense to say, we should hang out, what's your number? Not, could I please maybe have your number? Don't ask permission if you don't have to. Again, it's easier to assume it's gonna happen and you can always apologize if necessary. The third low value mistake that guys make is being too agreeable. And this actually comes from a good place. A lot of guys want to have something in common with the girl, and this is a good instinct, right? If you play soccer and she plays soccer, that's something you have in common. If you love to cook and she loves to cook, that's great, you guys can cook together. These are wonderful things. However, it's much better if you are leading and she is following, or if you seem to find them out organically, as opposed to if you're always saying, oh, you do that, me too. Oh, you do that, I'm like you as well. The person that's always trying to be like the other person, the person that's always following in that way, tends to look like the low value person. They tend to look like they're trying to be in the other person's party. So, how do you not do this? Number one, talk about yourself and lead with your opinions first. If you're saying a lot of opinions and talking about the things you love to do, and you're leading the conversation, she's going to be the one following. You'll be like, oh, I played soccer. She's like, oh, you played soccer? Me too. And now she's the one following and trying to get into your world. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, if you do have these commonalities, maybe she can say it and then you can bring it up a little bit later so it's not quite so obvious that you're just like, oh, I'm trying to be like you. Oh, I'm trying to be like you, right? It's okay if it comes up later. It's okay if that rapport doesn't happen right in the next moment. It's totally fine. Another thing you can do actually is if you are going to have that rapport seek of being similar, you can actually rapport break and then rapport seek, right? So for example, she says, I play soccer as well. I love girls that play soccer. So I like that about her. Like, oh my God, we're not gonna get along, we're too similar. No, I'm just kidding, I love soccer, I played growing up, etc., etc. But the fact that I show a willingness to break rapport as opposed to just seeking it means that I can give that fact in a way that isn't so like, I'm too timid, I'm walking on eggshells, I wanna be just like you, all right? So you wanna avoid being the follower in the conversation. You also wanna avoid it coming off like you're just trying to be like the girl and you're into all the things she's into. And definitely don't lie and say you're into things she's into, because if you get found out in that lie, it looks really bad, right? Say she's into a particular type of music, goes, oh, I like that as well. And then she's like, oh yeah, who's your favorite artist? You're like, oh, fuck, right? And then you're screwed. So definitely don't lie about it, but even if it's true, try and avoid that nature of conversation where you're constantly following and it seems like you're constantly trying to be more like her. The fourth low value habit is, well, actually, I don't know if I really want to tell you. I mean, like I could, but then like really, I mean, that's pretty annoying, right? You'd kind of like me to get to the point and stop wasting your fucking time. The fourth low value habit is being indecisive, which is annoying in practice, but it also conveys that you're hesitant, it conveys you care too much, it conveys that you are not a leader, you're not used to having things go your way in life. And actually, to illustrate this one, I'm gonna give you a personal story, which is the first date I was ever on in my entire life. It was in high school, and the girl basically said for the date, let's go get a movie and watch the movie back at my place, which is a pretty good date for high school. We like this. But when we actually went to the video store to pick up the movie, and yes, I was at an age where I went to a video store to get movies, I know, it's true. But I spent so long trying to pick out the exact right movie. And the reason I did it is because that's what I usually did when I went to the video store by myself. I liked that process. But the fact of the matter is I hesitated, went, oh, this one's good, whatever. And she just got so frustrated. She picked one, was like annoyed, we're getting this one and just let's get the fuck out of here. And you could tell she was annoyed. And the date went downhill from there. She was very unimpressed by my indecisive choice of video. And the fact of the matter is, what video I chose really didn't fucking matter. I should have just chosen something and gone with it. But I was too caught up in every little detail. And a lot of guys get this way, especially when it comes to planning dates. They're like, oh, should we go to this place or this place? Do you like this or do you like this? Can I get this for you out of the menu? Who the fuck cares? Act normal, act natural, have a good time. Stop trying to tiptoe around and cater to every little thing, and stop worrying about every little detail. 99% of them don't matter. Just make a decision. It's more important than getting the right drink that you just order a drink. It's more important than going to the right restaurant that you pick a restaurant and just start walking there. All right, so Be decisive. It shows leadership, it shows high value. Don't hem and haw and vacillate. Now, since the first 4 low value behaviors I've given you kind of all come from the same place of being too nice or caring too much or whatever, you might think that the key to being high value is just don't be a nice guy. In fact, you might go so far as to say the key to being a high value is just be an asshole. And you wouldn't be completely wrong, but you would be partly wrong. You see, if you are an asshole, it does convey some good high value traits. It conveys that you've gotten through your life as an asshole and haven't died yet, right? Or you've managed to not get so much negative feedback and blowback, you've managed to sustain it. So there is something to that. However, girls don't actually like assholes. They like guys who are unafraid to be an asshole from time to time. They don't like guys who are always assholes. Even more so, and this is the 5th low value trait, they don't like guys who are trying to act like assholes or trying to be polarizing. It should come off ideally like you're just living your life and having fun, enjoying life, being yourself, and you're not going out of your way to please or appease people, but you're also not going out of your way to be a dick, because that is socially uncalibrated, and it also is try hard, and being try hard is low value. So if you, for example, when I teach you a certain line that's good in game, if you deliver that line in a way that's like, haha, I delivered a line, gotcha, that is not good. If you say something to a girl that's flirty, but it's not flirty, it's actually mean, that's not good. It should be playful, it should be fun, you should be a little bit irreverent, but you should not be an asshole, and more importantly, you should never come off like you're trying to get a reaction. If it looks like you're trying to get a reaction, that looks like you have an agenda, and that is also incredibly, incredibly low value. So it's not just about not being nice, it's really about being cool and natural. And a good cheat code for all of this, all of these individual things matter a lot, but a good cheat code for all this, if you're ever wondering, is this a low value behavior, a high value behavior, is this an okay thing socially? Ask yourself, would I do this if I was around my good friends who I'm really comfortable with, and especially my good friends if I'm the leader of the group? If I'm in a group where I'm a leader and I have good friends around me, would I act this way? Or with girls, would I act this way around a girl who I know has a massive crush on me and I could honestly, I enjoy her, I like her, but I'm not trying to sleep with her? If you're acting in those ways, the way you would when you're the leader of a group or the way you would when you're around a girl and you know she likes you and there's no insecurity whatsoever, that's the way you should be acting most of the time. And if you really are feeling that way, a lot of these low value behaviors will weed themselves out naturally. However, it's still good to be aware of them. It's still good to make sure that you're not doing them, because you can learn it through attitude or through muscle memory. And there will be times when you're around a girl and you do feel nervous and insecure. It's nice to have the good habits established so that even then you still behave in a high value way. So those are 5 low value behaviors I see so often. If you're making any of these, if you have some comments, you have some questions, put them below. If you want me to expand on something, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Till then, see you in the next video.